outskirts of Stepanakert. There were shots heard. Electricity was cut off, but as of 21st of November, there is no energy in the Gadrutsk region. Telephone and telegraph services have been cut off. There is no flour in Stepanakert. There are problems with water supply. A third of the city has no water, and much of the city has no heat. There have been repair crews which have begun repairing the results of sabotage of the water supply system. The national contradictions between Baku and Yerevan nevertheless give us hope, ground for hope. I'm holding the telegrams in my hands. The President of Azerbaijan, Ayas Mutalibov, expressed the hope that the situation with Armenia would be resolved not on the basis of strength. There's to be a meeting of the presidents of Armenia and Azerbaijan. We hope that this information is confirmed correct and will serve as a beginning of good neighbor relations between the republics, both of which are intending to participate in a single economic entity on the territory of the former Soviet Union. Now, switching from politics to economics, on the control panel, we are seeing red lights flash up, and we're particularly concerned here by the ruble. In the Baltic states, Moldavia, Ukraine are going to have their own currency. The Transcaucasian region is not stable, and we're having a flood of rubles. The banks in the Kuban region have received 2 billion extra rubles, and that's not an end. Specialists estimate that by the end of the year, this sum will be increased by a further 4 billion rubles. This is a real monetary intervention in the Kuban region. People have now begun to deposit tens and hundreds of thousands of rubles, and persons who want to receive certificates of deposit for 1 million rubles are there, and these people have to wait for whole days. It's very difficult to count 1 million rubles when much of it is in small notes. It's not difficult to realize what's going to happen to this mass of money when privatization takes place. In Krasnodar, a 52 square meter apartment was sold for over 4 million rubles. Who will receive possession of the material property which has been created in the Kuban? For us, this is an economic catastrophe. For that reason, it seems to me that there are probably two problems which have to be resolved. One is an operative decision in nature, perhaps not constitutional and not democratic, and that is a decision not to accept deposits in Russia from citizens who belong to other republics. Secondly, we have to rapidly introduce our own Russian currency, do that immediately, and that way we will protect our internal Russian market from this monetary intervention which is taking place on the part of the other republics. We have sad news from Bugulma in Tataria. There, a plane, AN-24, crashed coming in from Nizhnevartovsk. 34 passengers and 4 crew members perished. The President of the USSR expressed his sympathy to the relatives, and an investigation is underway. The next item was something that we had filmed before we heard this sad news from Bugulma, but fate brought the two events together, and who knows, perhaps this is not an accident. Judge for yourself. The State Air Inspection Bureau in our country determines our own safety in the air when we are on vacation or in business. This year, there were 149 air events, including 32 crashes, 182 persons perished, passengers and crew members, and a similar number of injuries. We have problems with airworthiness as of late. We don't have financing of safety systems. We have not received in the last month not a single kopeck, and we haven't been able to send investigating teams to the site of crashes. Our technology is getting older. Airworthiness has suffered radically. We are utilizing equipment far longer than we should. So the State Air Inspection Bureau is not functioning, but we are flying. And this has been a report by Alexei Poklad. Now, from the official news, today, President Gorbachev received members of the Spanish Parliament. The head of the Spanish delegation was Jose Maria Venegas. The President of the Soviet Union frankly described the situation in USSR and stressed that the creation of a new democratic state after the putsch created a number of difficulties, and in the opinion of Gorbachev, we have resistance on the part of the conservatives who want to take vengeance for their failure in August. Gorbachev assured the guests that central control was being exercised. Today, the President of the USSR received the Prime Minister Veliachi of Iran. A number of questions were discussed: bilateral relations, regional problems. Iran is our neighbor, and naturally, the difficult and complex things happening in our country were discussed. We have assured President Gorbachev that we intend to have good neighbor relations. That is the decision of Mr. Rafsanjani. Naturally, relations with the individual republics is determined to a good degree by the fact that we have Islam in common. In any case, we view the republics as a part of the Soviet Union. In Brussels, here is the headquarters of the UN. Here's the working day of Ivan Silayev, beginning there. After this handshake, there was an hour-long conversation with Jacques Delors and the signing of documents. These were interbank and intergovernment agreements. So there's been coordination of agreements on agricultural assistance, and we will be receiving such help not only from the European community, but also from the former partners, members of the Council on Economic Cooperation. So there will be assistance of $500 million EQ. But the interest rate is going to go up. But there is a very severe need, and people understand that here. I would say that we have three basic thrusts in our activity. These are points which are of extreme interest to us. We want to receive financial support, and we also want to see how the mechanism of the European community functions. We don't have much time, it is true, only a few hours, but we would like to have a closer look at the European community economic structure, so that we might perhaps employ these principles in our own country. And on a whole, we want to get a sense for the position of the European community and get a view of how they perceive our future development, and that they might be better able to appreciate our steps in the direction of the market. So I remind you that Mr. Silayev arrived in Brussels today. Today in London, there was an economic conference on Soviet, English, or British business. These leading banks and firms have decided to expand their activities with Russia and the other republics. We sincerely wish all the best to you in your economic reforms. The stronger your economy is, the more promising our mutual cooperation will be in the future. We need here to maintain relations and to coordinate our activities between all the republics. We have to develop trade, and we have to become at home in the European house. Otherwise, we will lose a great deal, and mainly we'll lose a lot of time. The U.S. Senate, by an absolute majority of 90 to 4, approved a resolution on ratifying the reduction of armed forces in Europe. This agreement was signed in November in Paris by members of NATO and the former Warsaw Pact countries. The document foresees a radical reduction by the European countries, U.S. and Canada, of armed forces in Europe. Today in Warsaw, the new Senate of the upper chamber was opened in